Okay, so today we'll be taking a look at the Charger Lab Power-Z KM001C, which is this USB-C power analyzer here. It's got a male port on one end, female port on the other end, also a micro USB port, unfortunately, for hooking up to a software on your computer. There's also a little display on it, so you can view a few stats on the analyzer itself. But today we'll be focusing on the on using it with PC software. So here I have a few chargers that we're going to test this with. But here is a Samsung super fast charging USB-C power delivery charger. It's the charger that ships with most of their flagship phones these days. So I'm going to plug into here, and if this camera would please focus, there we go. We're going to take a look at the software now. So on the left side here you can see just the usual power monitoring, so voltage, amps, watts, and we can actually run this graph here. On the right is the more interesting stuff, which is the USB PD analysis. So we have three modes for this. We have idle, sniffer, monitor, and eMarker. eMarker is obvious, it's for probing eMarkers and cables. Monitor is to passively monitor the PD traffic going through this. So if I plugged a sync into the source via this, then we can see the communication there. And finally we have Sniffer Mode, which is more interesting because it lets this device actually send out packets, and then we can probe chargers and the like for its capabilities. So I'm going to put this into Sniffer Mode and then plug into our charger here, and you can see that the charger sent this packet telling us of its capability. So you can see its PDOs here, well, because this is the raw information in the packet, and on the right here we can see that it's just kind of passed the PDOs into a nicer to read format. Then you can see that this device has requested 5 volts. So the actual analyzer itself has requested 5 volts from the charger, and the charger is accepted. And you can see down here in the corner that it is actually providing 5 volts. We are reading that. So in addition to just obviously reading these, we can actually ask the charger for a different profile just by double clicking one of these. So if I double click the 9 volt profile, then it's switched to 9 volts. If I go back to 5, then it's gone back to 5. For some reason, the actual requests from this device itself sometimes just don't get captured by this, which is kind of annoying. But you can see that the charger is accepting, you're just not seeing the request packet for some reason. So yeah, so you can see that the voltage changes as I pick between these. I can also pick a PPS one, yeah, and I can use this bar to actually select the voltage. So right now we're at 5 volts, and you can see the request packets now. And I can drag this up, and you can see we're printing 7.6 volts, and you can see we're also reading back 7.6 volts in the corner. Drag this all the way up to 11 volts, and down to like 3.3 volts. Unfortunately, some of these packet descriptions aren't translated. They're Chinese only, which is a bit annoying. But if you click them, the full packet information is available, so you can still find out what it is. So yeah, so I'm just going to reset that, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into monitor mode, which, as I mentioned before, is kind of like passively monitoring the traffic. And what I have here is a Galaxy Tab S7 Plus connected using just a USB-C to C cable. It's just a standard passive 3 amp cable, and I'm just going to plug it into here. Do not plug it in. Ugh, really? Am I? Okay, well, apparently this isn't charging. Give me a sec. Hey, sorry about that. I reset everything and it's working now. I'm not sure why. But if I plug in the tablet through this now in Sniffer Mode, we can see the tablet actually does use PPS to charge, and you can see it's requesting various voltages, and now it's kind of settled on 9.06 volts at 2.75 amps. On this side, we can see the actual power readings here, and I can also start the graph. So you can see we have voltage, which is the yellow line, and current, which is the blue line graphed here. We can also turn on the graph for power. So orange is the computed power of however many watts. We can also graph the total energy that has been transferred as well. So yeah, so we've seen the traffic on the right here, and we've also seen we can also graph on the left. If I unplug this and plug it in again, you'll probably see the start up again. It's 5 volts, and it slowly ramps up the voltage. Well, not really slowly, but yeah, it ramps up the voltage to 9.1 volts until it's happy, and then it just stops there, and it's now charging at 25 watts. And 25 watts is actually the max power output of this charger, so that makes sense. Cool. So we've taken a look at that. Let's take a look at a different device. So let's inspect idle. So unplug this charger. I'm going to take a look at now is this MoPoint 65 watt GAN USB-C charger. So this charger actually has 2 ports, and it will change its power output depending on which port you have plugged in. So if you only have one plugged in, you have, I believe, 65 watt, the full 65 watts available. If you plug in both, I believe it's 30 watts per port. So we can see a demonstration of that. So I'm going to plug this in. I'm gonna plug the analyzer into one of them. And if we come back here, and I'm just going to clear that, and I'm going to go into Sniffer, and you can see the source capabilities. We go all the way up to 20 volts at 3 amps, so that's 60 watts, and 3.3 to 11 volts at 3 amps, which is also 60 watts. Actually, I believe this, sorry, that's not 60 watts, that's 44 watts. I believe this can do higher current than 3 amp, and the reason we're not seeing that is because there's no e-marker here. So if I find, I have this fully featured cable here. This is also e-marked for 5 amps. If I plug this 5 amp cable in, and let me unplug this. So now I have a e-marked cable hanging off the end here, and plug it back in. We take a look at the source capability again. Yeah, you can see we now have 3.25 amps and 4 amp available because we have this e-mark cable here. What you can also do is I can go e-marker, hit e-marker, and looks like that doesn't work. I believe I might have to unplug this and just leave it like this. E-marker, there we go. So now the cable has responded. And you can see this cable is 20 volts, 5 amps, USB 3.1 Gen 2, and around 1 meter. Nice. So let me actually keep this plugged in and plug this into here. We'll switch back to Sniffer Mode. So again, we have all these profiles available on this and for its source capabilities. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tablet we were using earlier and actually plug it into the second port on this charger. So the tablet's now charging. You can see, now if we look at the new source capabilities packet, you can see the highest power we have is actually 20 volts at 1.5 amps, so that's 30 watts, and we also have 11 volts at 3 amps, so that's actually 33 watts. 15 volts at 2 amps, so yeah, 30 watts, 33 watts is the max now. Because it's now evenly splitting it between these 2 ports. yeah, what I can also do is this USB-A port here. I do believe if I plug in the USB-A device, it will drop this even further. So let's plug in a USB-A cable. Now I'm just going to plug in a phone to that USB-A port. That seems to be unchanged. If I go get source cap again, nope, that seems unchanged. So it's possible it only splits the power between the last two ports, and so this one stays 30, and then the next port should be, this port might have dropped to 18 watts, and so it's 18, 18, 30 or something like that. Well, now we know. So what we can also see now is the behavior of this tablet running on this charger. So if I go back into monitor mode and plug this tablet directly in, you can see it requests various power levels. And on the left here, what I can do is I can actually start a new graph. So this is actually a weird behavior that I've posted about before with this Tab S7 Plus and this charger in particular. It just does this, and I don't know why. You can see on the right it's basically requesting the same voltage, but it's jumping between two different current levels. Although it's always requesting only 2.4 amps, whereas on the left you can see clearly it's drawing, well, it's never drawing 2.4 amps, right? Like it's requesting 2.4 amps max. If you look at the PD packets, but on the left you can see it's drawing anywhere between 2.7 and all the way up to 3.35 amps. Even though this isn't even the EMARC cable that I'm using, so this, you really shouldn't draw more than 3 amps through this. So something's, I assume it's the tablet's fault for trying to draw this much current, even though it's only requested 2.4 amps from a charger. But I assume that's just causing the voltage on the charger to tank and then this weird behavior to happen. Interestingly, if I unplug this and I replace it with the 5 amp EMARC cable that we were using before, and we see everything ramp up. You can see now that it's still a bit jank at the top, but yeah, I don't actually know what's going on. Unfortunately, this is okay. Well, there we go. Yeah, so it's running it. Okay, well now it's fine. So we're a steady like 10 volts, 3.5 amps. Although interestingly, you can still see the tablet's drawing more than the current. It's requested 3.5 amps on the right here, but it's clearly drawing well a lot more than that. And then there's these random spikes. I have no idea. But you know, interesting nevertheless. Cool. So finally, what we can take a look at is this Xiaomi power bank here. Is a USB-C port that can be used for both input and output. So if I switch this to Sniffer Mode and I plug it into this power bank here, you can see that the source capabilities of the power bank are all of these profiles plus this 5 volt to 11 volt I guess as a PDO, like the PPS profile thing, but we can also just hit get sync cap and it will not work. Oh, yes it will. Yeah, so now now we can see that this power bank can accept 5 volts at 3 amps or 15 volts at 3 amps, according to its sync cap anyway, and nothing else, which as far as I know is actually a lie, because I've definitely seen this charge at 9 volts before. When you plug into a charger like this one that doesn't support 15 volts, so I don't know why it returns something different for sync capabilities, but yeah, and if we go back to source, we can see all of these source capabilities. One last thing is, I guess I'll try and see what happens if I plug this into the not very well behaving tab S7 we have here. So okay, so it does use PPS, so that's good. And it ramps up the voltage. Okay. Does it do anything funny? Yeah, look, it's just drawing no power. What? So it's requested and it drops the voltage and now it's pulling current again, and I don't know. Yeah, so this is just weird. So clearly something about this kind of misbehaves with PPS sources.